Hey everyone, Dakar here to give you a play-by-play of a match Hoppa, myself, and Godfrey participated in a couple of days ago. Godfrey's in a Tier 6 Fuso. Hoppa's in a Tier 8 Amagi. I'm in a Tier 8 Norlands. We're in a Tier 10 match with a Yamato on each side. Now you'll see the enemy has a carrier. We do not. And we also have the lowest tier with the Fuso. But today we're going to talk about not the fact that we brought the littlest ship to the biggest battle, but rather that we're going to pay attention to the mini-map and our situational awareness and how that allows us to actually maximize the damage that this little Tier 6 can do. And I think you'll be surprised at how well Godfrey handles this otherwise quote-unquote undergun vessel in a Tier 10 match. So right off the bat, if you look at the mini-map, you can see that our gold ships, myself, Godfrey, and Hoppa, are out of position. We're too far away to support each other. I am 8 clicks off of Godfrey. Hoppa is 14 clicks away. The two extremes can't fire at the same thing. We're too far. One could cover the other, but it's really not good enough. And then also you'll see that all of our battleships down there in the south are only guarded by one cruiser. That Lexington carries a pretty large complement of bombers and torpedo bombers. We need more than just the self-defense AA on our battleships if we want to make sure that they don't get blasted out of the water. So I'm going to make as fast as I can with my American cruiser, because if you don't have an enemy, or if you don't have a friendly carrier to fight the enemies, the next best thing is an American cruiser, especially when they have that ability to up their anti-air guns and light up the sky like the 4th of July. So already you can see, even without any sort of destroyer or cruiser heading to the south, the enemy Yamamoto has been spotted. It's at a pretty significant distance of 24 kilometers. It's not a very stealthy ship, and the first shots are being fired now. If you look on the map, you can see that the enemy carrier has 2 dive bombers in the D4 area. They're looking at the cap. I would bet he's looking for someone who's trying to do a quick cap. Our team didn't pull that move, so he's not going to find anything useful down there. At this point, my cruiser is still a little bit out of position. I'm not in between the enemy carrier and our battleships. It's very possible that the aircraft we see now could have slid in, gone a little bit south, and then struck our massive battleships right here. Let's zoom out real quick. We can see we're a little too close. Everybody's bunched up together while Hoppa's at 2 kilometers away, which isn't a bad spot to be. Everybody else is much closer. Being at 2 kilometers, Hoppa, who is now making a right turn to get out of range of the enemy battleships, had he been closer, might have run into Godfrey. But due to the distance, Godfrey's able to see that Hoppa's moving, and then he can take appropriate action. He actually slowed down a little bit. There it is. If you look down in the bottom left, he's slowing down, and he can make his turn as necessary. Hoppa really had no choice making that turn because he was boxed in up there by our Nagato. You'll see here, myself, straight ahead, right there. I've moved my Norlands up and behind that island for cover. The reason for that is I can't affect the battleships that much from where I'm sitting. I don't have the firepower and I don't have the armor to take the hits. Rather than die quickly for no reason, I'm going to move myself into a position where I can block those fighters. Now we noticed where they came from early in the game, and right now you'll see at C1 the enemy carrier has actually been spotted. So I know that if he's trying to get his fighters and his bombers into the fight quickly, he's going to come along that C line or that B line, try to bring him in. So I'm going to position myself to intercept them if they come that way. Alright. Most of our battleships are still grouped together, and we're discussing that on TeamSpeak. And there we go. Godfrey. Lowest tier. First kill. And it's a big kill. He took out a Nagato. Granted, it wasn't all himself, but he did get the final hit on it. And it was a pretty big hit. I think it was over 9,000 damage that did him in. Alright, now that we had that euphoria of the kill, Hoppa and Godfrey have noticed that we only have one battleship in the south. They are both beginning their turns, and they're going to head back to provide that support. I'm going to continue hitting north a little bit. I'm concerned about those fighters and those bombers, so I'm going to keep on moving, screening. Notice my position. I'm screening the 3 battleships behind me, because that other cruiser, he's completely out of position. He's too close. He's not in the way of where the likely avenue of approach is. He may be able to kill him, but it won't be until after the torpedoes have been dropped. At that point, it's too late. You want to catch him before. Stop the damage, not kill the fighters. At this point, Hop and Godfrey are the middle linebackers here. They're going to be coming back around. Hoppa's lighting up that middle, because that would be most likely location for something to come sliding in. We have no defense there. I've begun to turn my cruiser around, head back to support Godfrey and Hoppa, because I don't want to leave them out in the open like that. The enemy carrier was in a pretty poor position. He was trying to hide at the C1 area. He got caught quickly by a destroyer. He was spotted there, and then 2 cruisers came and closed the distance and began to harass him pretty severely. That's a textbook case of being in a bad spot. He was blocked by the north, he was blocked by the west. The only places he could go were south and east. Well, because of that, he got caught, and there you go. We killed the enemy carrier. So their biggest advantage over us, the carrier, has been eliminated in the game. Just, what did we add? 12 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Our ships are positioned alright. I'm out of position right now. I should be closer to be able to provide that support if I was going up against carrier. However, with that carrier gone, that frees me up now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to the west, and I want to get eyes on the cap circle. In case you weren't paying attention, the enemy has begun capping, and we don't have anybody nearby. Because of the range at which cruisers need to be spotted at, generally they're you need to be much closer to a cruiser than you do need to be to a battleship. Hop and Godfrey are too far away to be able to spot a cruiser. They were able to spot that battleship, but now the battleship's out of range, can't see it. What's in the cap? Well, that's where myself in the New Orleans comes into play. Right now, if you look at the map, I finally have gotten around that island, and I can see that Ibuki. That Ibuki is what is capturing us. Had Hoppa or Godfrey taken their battleship in to the cap circle to try to go and defend, they would have been facing the Ibuki with its torpedo launchers. They may have got the Ibuki, but they would have taken significant damage in doing so. Also, they would have been well within range of the 2 battleships that are spotted. Now we can see that there's a 3rd. Then there's the 4th. Moving to that cap circle would pretty much have been a death sentence. The 2 battleships are just not maneuverable enough to be able to get in and avoid all that fire. You can see I didn't even go into the cap circle. I stayed as far away from that Ibuki as possible. I'm exchanging some shots right now, but my job is not to hit it as much as it is to spot it. Now that it's gone, I'm going to turn to the east and get out of range of those battleships. I took a little bit of damage in the New Orleans. About half my hit points are gone. But if I hadn't gone in to spot him, we would have lost the match. It's as easy as that. Now that their primary person to cap has been killed, they're going to have to send somebody else to go into that cap. So they've all begun to turn around. Hoppa and Godfrey continue to do their sailing. At this point, I would say Hoppa's a little out of position. He's a little too far forward. He's too far away from Godfrey to really give him good support. They can't exchange position, so that way if Hoppa takes a big hit, you can slide the Fuso in front of him. Generally, the battleships are going to shoot whatever's closer at them. It's easier to hit it. You can't do that exchange. Hoppa is the biggest target, and he's the closest target. That means he's going to be getting shot at. So, and as you can see on the mini-map, there's a lot of them there. Luckily for us, they were having a bad gunnery day or something, or they were in each other's way. I don't know. Somehow Hoppa survives this. Our battleships up in the north, you can see how long it's taken them to come all the way around. Generally, and I'm sure Hoppa and Godfrey would agree with me, by sending your battleships the long way around, you're essentially taking them out of the fight for a good portion of the map. They're just not maneuverable enough to take advantage of the ins and outs of the islands. And when they do get behind the islands, their guns can't make the shots. So, for better or worse, there's a battleship in B3 completely out of the fight right now. Can't hit anything, and he won't be able to for a long while. Godfrey, on the other hand, has come around. He's in the middle of the map. He's able to hit north, south, and west of him. He has many targets of opportunity. He's able to lay more shots down. He's able to do more damage. He's able to get more XP. So at this point, he was shooting directly to his west. I believe it's a Nagato. Yep, the Nagato has now come out from behind the island that it was hiding. That gives Godfrey shots. So Godfrey's going to switch because now we have a new priority target, that Nagato in the cap circle. Myself, I'm in the Cleveland, back over here. I've now accelerated up. I'm going to start charging into the position. I want to be able to get my guns on that Nagato, hit him with some HE, light him on fire, destroy his steering or his engine. Any one of these is going to give more advantage to the Fuso. I feel safe to do this, primarily because the Nagato isn't looking at me as the biggest threat. He's looking at the guns on Godfrey's Fuso. Despite its tier, those guns can hit hard, and he's got a lot of them. Luckily for us, the two battleships that didn't go behind the island at C3 were able to lend their shots, so we took care of that one pretty quick. Had they not been there, I'm pretty confident that we would have been able to take it out. I might have been lost if I had been dumb and got within the secondary range, or if he decided to take me first. Either way, it didn't work out for him. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get in the cap. Godfrey's going to follow up, and now it's just a mop-up operation. But notice, Tier 6 is in the right spot to affect the game the most. He was able to take shots at anything in the cap. He was able to assist our two battleships down in the south. And then I was in a good position to be able to support our Tier 6. I was able to light up the enemy targets because I was near the critical point of the map, this cap circle, and I positioned myself to intercept the torpedo planes if they were going to come. They never did, but I was in the right spot to do it. Right there, I killed an enemy cruiser with the assistance, of course, of my team. Godfrey's going to take some pot shots at this Norland. I'm probably not going to survive if you just look at the point numbers there. Mag Jones, shout out to DHO. And there I go, and my Norland's taking the big hit. At this point, if I die, it's not that big a deal. It's one on the rest of our whole team, so I'm just trying to get the XP, keep them spotted. There I go. Goodbye. Nice shot, Mag. And Godfrey's going to take his last shot. if he were to turn and run, if Mac Jones somehow survived and ran, well, we know who's going to take the cap and get all the points. It's going to be this Fuso. In the end of it, Godfrey actually scored in the top 3 of our team, despite being the lowest. I believe Hoppe was number 1, Johnson was number 2, and I was number 5. You won't see it because the current replay system won't show it. That's how we came out. Not bad for a failed platoon, but the key here throughout this whole match has been positioning and location. So I hope you learned something. Hopefully you can use it in your next match. Other than that, have fun and sail on.